Hi, and welcome to Prepping Essentials with something a little bit different for you today. So,
if everything's ready here on the dark side of the moon, play the pipe tones.
I know that I said this video was going to be different, but no, it's not about alien invasions. Though it is about extraterrestrials. It's about the huge variety of objects which are continuously flying around in space, which could come crashing down to Earth. Things such as comets, meteors, asteroids, or even our own spacecraft. All of these things routinely pass by close to Earth, and on occasion, some actually do come crashing down. If anything was to come crashing down on your city, then the chances are that you might not survive the initial impact. However, if you had advance warning, or if you were located far enough away from the impact zone, then you would survive, but you would be faced with chaos, similar to that which will occur in many other something hit the fan type scenarios. These would include the loss of mains utilities, breakdown in rule of law, disruption of the normal supply chain, and many others. You may even find that the explosion from the impact could send sufficient dust and smoke into the air to make breathing difficult, air travel impossible, and in a worst case scenario, a lack of sun causing global cooling. So this is actually pretty serious stuff, but it's something that doesn't normally make it into the mainstream news media. That is, until now. If you've been following the news over the last few weeks, and as a prepper you should be, then you might have seen a news story about a conference being hosted by NASA and an organisation called the Centre for Near-Earth Object Studies. The conference has quite an ominous sounding title, which is the Planetary Defence Conference, and it's been running between the 29th of April and the 3rd of May. Here in the UK, the national news media picked up on the story about the conference on the 30th of April. And I think this was mainly because the head of NASA came out and announced to the press that it's time to take the threat of an Earth-destroying asteroid seriously, which is kind of enough to make anybody sit up and pay attention. Throughout the conference, NASA's been conducting a variety of emergency preparedness exercises based around a hypothetical scenario, or so they say, of an asteroid hitting the Earth. The conference looks at all aspects of detecting, tracking and assessing near-Earth objects, and then exploring ways to try and predict the impact zones. It also considered the possibility of destroying or deflecting objects before they got close enough to Earth, but there's a general consensus amongst experts that destroying large asteroids with something like, say, a nuclear missile would probably not be feasible, as the asteroid would simply shatter into many smaller pieces, creating many more potential impact zones across a wider and less predictable area. The exercises also looked at ways to evacuate the population in the affected areas if and when an impact does occur. Note that they used the word when. This does assume, of course, that the inbound object is actually detected, because not all of them are, and that the object is small enough to make the evacuation of the impact zone feasible. Clearly, the larger the object, the greater the area of potential devastation, and trying to evacuate anything more than a medium-sized city is probably impossible, particularly in such a short period of time. During the conference, NASA voiced their concerns that historically any warnings about a potential asteroid collision have usually been met with disbelief or amusement. and they went out of their way to emphasize that a high number of objects regularly enter the atmosphere. Most people will have seen shooting stars, which are essentially small bits of space debris skimming through the upper atmosphere. Some may have been prompted by news stories to watch out for comets as they fly past the Earth far out in space. And a few may have seen news reports about old spacecraft or small meteors crashing down to Earth. Occasionally, however, much larger objects appear, often without warning, and it's these that have the potential to cause serious destruction. The most recent event occurred in 2013 when a meteor exploded over the Russian city of Chelyabinsk, injuring hundreds of people. The meteor was at its brightest and hottest when it was 18 miles above the Earth and travelling at a speed of 40,000 miles per hour. As it exploded in the sky above the city, it briefly outshone the sun and inflicted severe burns on observers below, as well as smashing windows and rattling buildings all across the city. Researchers say that if the rock had remained solid and impacted the ground, it would have caused a far greater amount of damage and casualties. The largest event in recent history was the Tunguska event of 1908, when an exploding comet or asteroid destroyed 18 million trees across 2,000 square kilometres of a Siberian forest. So imagine for a moment if it had impacted on a major city rather than a forest in the wilderness. Given the large number of objects which are known to regularly pass the Earth, computer modelling suggests that a significant asteroid event could occur at least every 60 years. While the announcement of the NASA conference in the news media was thought-provoking enough, it's even more interesting to note that during the past week there's been a sudden flurry of articles been released into the news media about future comets or asteroids or meteors which are due to pass close to the Earth over the next few years. The conspiracy theorists out there might wonder if this is just a coincidence. NASA and their partners continue to monitor space and the objects that regularly pass by. They're already preparing for the arrival of a huge asteroid named Apophis, which they say will skirt past the Earth around the 13th of April 2029. At the moment, NASA says that it will pass by far enough away so as to be harmless at a distance of around 19,000 miles. Having said that, you should bear in mind that this is actually as close as some of the spacecraft that regularly fly past the Earth. There are several other objects which are being carefully tracked, some of which have the potential to collide with Earth and some of which actually get closer. One of these is an asteroid called FT3, whose orbit cuts into the Earth's own orbit of the Sun around every 5 years. The first potential collision date being tracked by NASA is due to occur this year in October, though they do say it's going to be a long way away and we shouldn't be worried. And then there are subsequent dates again in 2025 and 2029. NASA estimates that FT3 weighs in at a staggering 55 million tonnes, and as it passes by, it's travelling at more than 45,000 miles per hour. I'm hoping that they keep a really good eye on that, because if that was to come down, it would be game over for planet Earth. NASA and its partners have some really interesting websites that you can go along to if you're interested in finding out more about the subject of these near-Earth objects. The Centre for Near-Earth Object Studies has a very nice website, lots of information on there. There's even a section on there where you can go in and track all of the different objects that are known to NASA and learn more about them, see where they are, see how far away they are, see when they might be passing by to the Earth and how far away they're due to pass by. So some quite interesting resources out there if you want to learn more about this subject. Well, that's it for this video. I hope that you found something in there that was interesting for you. If you did like the video, please do click the like button. Also, feel free to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. As always, welcome any comments, questions, suggestions you might have. What do you think about the subject of potential asteroid or meteor collisions with Earth? Let me know in the comments section down below. But for now, thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.